What if our understanding of Earth's history is completely wrong? What if there is a dark and hidden truth that governments and scientists have been trying to keep from us for centuries? You are about to embark on a secret journey where we will uncover a forgotten theory suppressed for decades, but now, finally, coming to light. A theory that suggests our civilization, as we know it, may be on the brink of collapse, and that cyclical cataclysms are not just a myth, but an imminent reality. In the next few minutes, you will discover what has been hidden, the evidence silenced, and the mysteries that have never been revealed to the public. Prepare to face what has been kept in the shadows, and question whether we are truly ready for what is to come. In 1966, a book called The Adam and Eve Story, written by John Thomas, was released and quickly became a mystery. Although it appeared to be just a science fiction work, the book contained an alarming theory: cyclical cataclysms that could lead to global extinction. The content was so disturbing that it was quickly classified by the CIA as unauthorized. In an almost immediate move, the government pulled the book from circulation, making it nearly impossible to find. But what was so dangerous or disturbing about this book that it was treated in this way? Why would a simple theory about natural disasters provoke such fear in the authorities? The censorship of the book left behind a trail of mystery that has never been fully explained. Leaked CIA documents suggest that entire parts of the book were sanitized, with pages being erased or altered before its removal from the market. These changes led many to speculate about what was truly contained within it. What was in the missing pages of the Adam and Eve story? What did the government fear so much that they intervened directly in its publication? The official censorship and secrecy surrounding the book only deepened the enigma, creating an atmosphere of distrust that remains to this day. The theory proposed by John Thomas involved a rare and devastating phenomenon: the reversal of the Earth's magnetic poles. According to him, this phenomenon would occur in natural cycles, with catastrophic consequences for humanity. While theories about cyclical cataclysms were not new, Thomas's approach was especially detailed and grim. He suggested that the reversal could cause enormous global disasters, including extreme climate changes and the collapse of civilization as we know it. Why did the CIA, one of the world's most powerful agencies, react so drastically to an unknown author presenting these ideas? The fear of panic and public disorder was one of the factors that led to the censorship of the book, but the question remains: what were the true implications of this theory for global security? John Thomas, the author of the Adam and Eve story, was a man of multiple talents and interests, but his true identity and the purpose of his research have always been shrouded in mystery. An engineer by training, Thomas was also deeply interested in studying natural phenomena and, controversially, he researched UFOs and other cosmic mysteries. While he was not widely recognized within the scientific community, his work was influential enough to attract the attention of government agencies, including the CIA. His involvement with such complex and mysterious subjects raises the question: was John Thomas just a simple author, or was there something deeper behind his research? What did he know that might have brought his work to the attention of such powerful agencies? In addition to being an engineer and researcher, Thomas worked with military technology and served as a consultant on secret projects during the Cold War. This involvement with the military industry raised further suspicions about his intentions and the content of his work. Unlike other researchers who operated in a more public domain, Thomas seemed to remain in the shadows, maintaining a level of discretion that only added to the mystery surrounding his figure. What was he truly trying to achieve with his research on pole reversal and global cataclysms? Was his interest in these phenomena linked to a search for unresolved answers, or was there a more hidden agenda behind his obsession with natural disasters? The fact that his work was suppressed by the CIA led many to believe that Thomas was on the verge of revealing uncomfortable truths, more so than any other author of his time. The censorship was not accidental. Leaked documents suggest that, over the years, Thomas had a close relationship with members of government agencies who were seeking to understand geological phenomena and cataclysms. How the government handled the Adam and Eve story and the way Thomas was treated after his death indicate that there may have been more to his work than was previously thought. Was he merely a researcher ahead of his time, or did he have access to information that was meant to stay hidden from the public? The theory proposed by John Thomas in the Adam and Eve story is nothing less than an apocalyptic vision of Earth, where cyclical cataclysms could cause the global extinction of humanity. According to him, the reversal of Earth's magnetic poles is not a rare event but part of a natural cycle that occurs at regular intervals of thousands of years. These cataclysms, Thomas argued, would have a devastating impact on life on Earth, radically altering the climate and triggering global disasters that would lead to the destruction of civilizations. The idea that such a cataclysmic event could occur again, within a geological timescale, challenges the conventional view of the stability of our planet. But was Thomas merely theorizing, or was there something more serious behind these claims? For many, Thomas's theory sounds like a distant science fiction. However, he presents a series of arguments based on natural phenomena, such as the magnetic anomalies Earth has experienced throughout its history. Scholars who have analyzed his ideas have identified parallels with known geological events, such as mass extinctions that occurred in the past, when large climate and environmental changes caused the death of countless species. Thomas believed these events were not random but part of a cyclical pattern, with the pole reversal acting as a trigger for a global cataclysm. His theory, though bold, is not the only one suggesting Earth undergoes cyclical cataclysms. Other ancient cultures also mention great floods and destructions in their stories. The impact of his ideas was not just academic. During an era marked by the Cold War and intense concerns about the future of humanity, the possibility of an imminent global event shook the authorities. Many believe the real reason behind the censorship of Thomas's book was the fear of widespread panic. A cyclical event so devastating could be seen as a real threat, something that might alter how nations approach defense policies and planning. The lingering question is, could this theory, despite seeming extreme, actually have a scientific basis that would justify such repression? And if the pole reversal is more than just speculation, did the government know something Thomas tried, unsuccessfully, to reveal to the public? Throughout history, the US government has been linked to the censorship and concealment of information that could threaten public order. In the case of the Adam and Eve story, the CIA's intervention was not merely a control measure but a direct action to silence something that, according to many, should never have been discovered. John Thomas, with his theory of cyclical cataclysms and pole reversal, seemed to have touched on something deep and dangerous, something that could reveal more than the government was willing to allow. The book, although initially released without much fanfare, became the subject of mysterious withdrawals and subsequent edits. The justification given at the time was that the content was dangerous and needed to be sanitized, but what was really at stake? The idea that the CIA altered the content of the book, particularly the 284 pages considered lost, raises profound questions. These pages mysteriously disappeared, and many believe they contain the most sensitive revelations about the true risks humanity faces concerning global cataclysms. Leaked documents suggest that the CIA had knowledge of a possible imminent pole reversal and its devastating effects. However, instead of warning the public, the government chose to suppress this information. The question that remains is, why hide the truth? Was the public unprepared for the magnitude of the events about to unfold, or was there something more sinister behind this censorship? The absence of these lost pages and the way the book was handled by the agency sparked a wave of speculation. The CIA's involvement in concealing information about such devastating natural phenomena points to a larger web of control aimed at preserving order and the status quo. After all, if the public knew the real danger, it could lead to social and political chaos, something no government would be willing to allow. On the other hand, the lack of transparency raises more doubts about what was truly being hidden. The real question is, what did the censored pages really say, and how far were the authorities willing to go to keep this secret buried? Perhaps the answer lies hidden within an unsolved mystery, one that continues to elude us. John Thomas's life was not limited to writing and researching cyclical cataclysms. His ties to the military industry and secret projects raise questions about the extent of his involvement in activities that could impact global security. Thomas himself was connected to collaborations with military giants like McDonnell Douglas and Bell Labs, companies with a long history of involvement in highly classified defense projects. These companies were not only at the forefront of missile technology, but they were also deeply involved in research related to inexplicable phenomena, such as tectonic plate movement and the possible manipulation of natural events. The question that arises is, what role did Thomas play in this context? Despite his work with these large corporations, Thomas's research in areas such as physics, technology, and geophysics was not widely disclosed. The connection between his theories about cataclysms and the areas of interest for these industries raises doubts about what was truly being investigated under the guise of legitimate scientific research. The fact that he was invited to collaborate on such sensitive projects implies that there was something more to his vision than mere speculation. His theories could have been connected to secret experiments aimed at manipulating the climate or exploring geothermal energy in unconventional ways, tying his work directly to national security issues. But why exactly were the government and defense companies so interested in his ideas? These connections with the military industry and secret projects may suggest that John Thomas was more involved in matters concerning global security and the manipulation of natural forces than originally thought. The fact that he had access to cutting-edge resources, information, and technologies raises the possibility that his theory on cataclysms was not merely a scientific prediction, but a dangerous discovery that could affect national defense strategy. Was the US government investing in Thomas to exploit his research on climate manipulation or even a potential geophysical weapon? The lack of clarity regarding the scope of his research, combined with his involvement with these companies, creates a mystery that may never be fully solved. The answer might be hidden in secret files, waiting to be uncovered. When we observe the planet on a geological scale, it is impossible not to notice the signs of catastrophic events that occurred in ancient times. John Thomas's theory, which suggests cyclical cataclysms and the ejection of the Earth's crust, finds support in a number of geological findings. The movement of tectonic plates, the inexplicable erosion of ancient structures, and the disappearance of entire civilizations seem to align with the concepts Thomas presented. One of the most impressive examples is the Great Sphinx of Egypt, whose damage and erosion of the statue's body cannot be explained by thousands of years of weathering alone. Researchers suggest that these signs could be proof of a global catastrophe, one that affected not only humanity but the very shape of the planet. What exactly caused such extensive erosion? In addition, ancient maps, some dated hundreds of years before any known civilization, indicate the presence of lands and geographical features that no longer exist. In many cases, these maps show continents that have submerged or rearranged in a scale that suggests a global cataclysmic event. Geological studies reveal traces of massive megaripples, huge undulations in the seabed that, according to experts, could only have been caused by large-scale geophysical events such as earthquakes or sudden shifts in the Earth's crust. These clues are hard to ignore, as they provide physical testimony that Earth was, at some point, struck by a series of sudden and violent catastrophes. But what exactly caused these changes? As scientific discoveries continue to be made, it becomes increasingly difficult to ignore the evidence that Earth has been devastated by catastrophic events in the past, events that may have been triggered by natural forces beyond human comprehension. The geological pattern that emerges, with its anomalies and traces of destruction, suggests that the cataclysms described by John Thomas may have been more than mere speculation. If these events really happened in the past, what are the odds they might occur again? Modern science still has no definitive explanation, but the evidence points to a mystery that goes beyond mere geological history. Could we be witnessing only the tip of the iceberg of a much larger truth? The instantaneous freezing of prehistoric creatures, such as mammoths, has been one of the most intriguing mysteries for scientists. Fossils of mammoths found in places like Siberia, still with their flesh preserved, defy conventional logic. How is it possible that these animals, living in much warmer climates, were frozen so rapidly? According to some theories, this could be the result of a global cataclysmic event, a sudden shift in climate that would have led to the instant freezing of all life in the region. The traces found, such as food still in their stomachs, suggest that these animals were frozen almost instantly, as if time had stopped abruptly. Similar reports of animals preserved for centuries are found in various parts of the world, including the Arctic, where mammoth and other Ice Age animals' bodies seem to have been preserved in layers of ice. The idea of a global cataclysm that would cause this instant freezing also finds support in the legends of various cultures, which speak of sudden catastrophes and mass destruction. Geological studies suggest that events like a polar shift or even the impact of a meteorite could have caused a drastic change in temperature, leading to this abrupt freezing. But what could have truly caused such events? In many of these discoveries, what stands out is not just the sudden freezing, but the preservation of the creatures as if time had been interrupted in a single moment. The fact that the ice layers covered and completely preserved the animals and their habitats sparks curiosity about what could have happened at such a specific and devastating point in time. Some experts suggest that cataclysmic events leading to the immediate freezing of life might have been much more common throughout the planet's history than we realize. If time was truly interrupted and life was frozen in its tracks, what would that mean for our understanding of the Earth and human evolution? The idea of ancient, advanced civilizations that mysteriously disappeared has fascinated humanity for centuries. Among the most notorious are Atlantis and Mu, two civilizations that, according to ancient accounts and theories, possess technologies and knowledge far beyond what we have today. The legend of Atlantis, for example, is described by Plato as a powerful island that suddenly sank into the sea. But what really happened to it? Was it merely a story passed down through myths, or was there something real behind this narrative? Modern archaeologists and historians still cannot explain how such an advanced civilization could simply disappear without a trace, further fueling conspiracy theories about a global cataclysm. In places like the Pacific, the Bermuda Triangle, and even regions of the Mediterranean, there is evidence of ancient cultures whose technological, architectural, and scientific advancements seem to defy modern understanding. Ancient maps, some dating back thousands of years, depict submerged continents and lands no longer found on our planet. In 1929, archaeologist James Churchward made a bold claim about the lost continent of Mu, asserting that it existed in the Pacific and housed a civilization as advanced as any ever seen. The theory of Mu, like that of Atlantis, suggests that these ancient cultures had a much deeper understanding of physics and spirituality than any modern civilization. Accounts from various cultures, such as the Egyptians, Mayans, and Incas, also speak of cataclysms that destroyed great empires and civilizations. Many of these stories, passed down through generations, share common elements: natural disasters, fallen stars, and a sudden loss of knowledge. What makes these accounts even more intriguing is the similarities between cultures that were distant and isolated. The question remains, were these civilizations really more advanced than we know? Or are these stories just myths created over the millennia to explain the unexplainable? The truth is likely closer than we imagine, buried under layers of time, waiting to be uncovered. After decades of mystery and speculation, the question of the real reason why theories about global cataclysms were systematically suppressed comes to the forefront with more intensity. The censorship of John Thomas's book and other similar documents suggests that there was more at stake than just protecting public order. The fact that the CIA, a secret agency known for its clandestine operations, was involved in the removal of pages from such a controversial study fuels the idea that we might have been kept from an uncomfortable truth. However, another line of thought suggests that this censorship was a preventive measure, a way to avoid mass panic and the destruction of social stability. But if it was just a legitimate precaution, why do so many pieces of evidence indicate that the government knew more than it was letting on? The theory that the elites are aware of imminent catastrophic events and are keeping information hidden from the general population is one of the most compelling among conspiracy theorists. The fact that various ancient cultures, like the Mayans and Sumerians, predicted great cataclysms and spoke of cycles of destruction and rebirth adds a layer of legitimacy to these theories. The destruction of documents and the concealment of information may be interpreted as a reflection of the fear that the public wouldn't be prepared to handle the magnitude of what is coming. Furthermore, recent discoveries of magnetic anomalies and warnings about polar shifts provide clues that these concerns are not entirely unfounded. Are governments simply protecting the population, or are they deliberately covering up a truth that could jeopardize their control? The question then boils down to a single doubt. Are we being manipulated by those in power, or are they simply trying to protect us from a devastating truth? The answer, no matter how obvious it may seem, will never be fully clear. The silence surrounding these matters only deepens the mystery and the sense that, perhaps, we will never be informed of the real extent of these cataclysmic events. The lack of transparency and efforts to cover up knowledge mean that the truth, when it finally emerges, could be more terrifying than any of us are prepared to face. What do we really know about what is to come? And more importantly, are we being prepared for it or kept in the dark? In recent years, scientists have observed significant changes in the behavior of the Earth, but what many consider alarming is the acceleration of the movement of the magnetic poles. This phenomenon, known as geomagnetic shift, occurs when the Earth's magnetic poles move unexpectedly, with no clear explanation of why or what is causing it. While pole movement is not a new event, the speed at which it is happening now has caught the attention of researchers and authorities worldwide. Some experts suggest that these shifts could be linked to drastic climate changes, while others warn of a real risk that these changes could affect the stability of the Earth's crust, which would have catastrophic implications for all life on Earth. But what exactly is happening beneath our feet? In addition to the shifting of the poles, the Earth is experiencing an increasing amount of solar activity. Solar storms, which were once predictable, are now occurring with greater intensity and frequency. The impact of a large-scale solar storm could be devastating to global infrastructure, particularly to communication and electronic systems. However, the risk isn't just limited to technology. The Earth's magnetic shift could also alter the natural radiation field, which could affect life as we know it. Recent evidence of geological anomalies in various parts of the planet, including inexplicable phenomena such as glaciers melting in places where the climate should still be cold, suggests that we are on the brink of a major transformation, one that may be beyond our capacity to fully understand. What else might be revealed if investigations into the pole shift were more widely disclosed? Are governments deliberately keeping this information secret to prevent a global panic? Or is it, in fact, that the risk of a catastrophic event is so imminent that an official explanation would cause an instant societal collapse? The fact that very few experts dare to discuss the real impact of magnetic and solar changes reflects the seriousness of the matter. Would we really be prepared to face what is coming? The answers to these questions remain hidden, and the warning signs seem to increase with each passing day. John Thomas's theory of cyclical cataclysms and polar inversion is often dismissed or discredited by conventional science. However, when we examine what modern geology and plate tectonics have to say about these events, we begin to see that the idea of sudden global changes is not as absurd as it seems. Polar inversion, for example, is a phenomenon that, while rare, has been recorded on several occasions throughout Earth's history. Scientists such as geophysicist Peter Olson and geologist Brad Singer suggest that magnetic pole inversion occurs at irregular intervals, and traces of these inversions can be found in rock layers, geomagnetic anomalies, and even in the fossil evidence scattered across the planet. But if these events really occur, why isn't anyone talking about it more openly? In addition, there is other evidence supporting the possibility of a global cataclysm caused by sudden geological events. John Thomas's theory of crustal ejections, for example, offers an intriguing explanation for the major extinctions that took place in the past. During periods when the Earth's crust moved abruptly, massive catastrophes occurred, drastically affecting climate and ecosystems. But what really happened during the last polar inversions? Studies on temperature variation in ice layers, such as those conducted in Greenland, indicate sudden and violent climate shifts that could have been triggered by such geological events. This correlation between geological phenomena and mass extinctions seems more than just a coincidence. However, modern science still lacks a definitive explanation for these catastrophic changes, and many experts refuse to admit that we are on the verge of another polar inversion or global-scale events. The reason for this may lie in the lack of direct evidence proving that a worldwide catastrophe is imminent. But what if science doesn't know what's coming? What if reality is more complex than current models can explain? The possibility that the Earth is about to undergo a major geological transformation forces us to reflect on what we know and, more importantly, on what we still don't know. Throughout our investigative journey, we've challenged the notion that the stability of the modern world is guaranteed. With each piece of evidence, with each fact uncovered, the doubt grows stronger. What if John Thomas's cyclical cataclysm theory is not just a theory? What if the warnings about global geological changes are more than a distant echo of a forgotten past? The accelerated movement of the magnetic poles, the scientific discoveries about the vulnerability of our infrastructure to solar storms, and the constant adaptation of defense technologies are not enough to protect humanity from such a catastrophic event. As a civilization highly dependent on communication and energy systems, are we truly prepared to survive an abrupt shift of the planet? Yes, there are some measures that governments and scientists have adopted to monitor and prepare for risks related to geothermal activity and solar storms. However, many experts warn that the true magnitude of a polar inversion event or a global cataclysm is unpredictable. What we know about these phenomena is fragmented, and what is yet to come remains in the realm of hypothesis. Humanity does not have a clear strategy for facing such a sudden and widespread disaster. If something like this were to happen tomorrow, would we be able to react in time? Or would it be total chaos, with vital systems collapsing irreversibly? As technology advances, questions about the future continue to multiply. But even with all the innovations and discoveries, one point remains unquestionable: nature is unpredictable. And the Earth, as we've seen, has the capacity to surprise us with events that challenge our entire understanding. Are we so focused on progress that we might be ignoring warning signs that indicate something much bigger and more dangerous is lurking? What will come next? The second chance for humanity, or the end of an era? After everything we've revealed, one question still echoes. Are we really prepared to face an event that could rewrite the history of humanity? Or are we unconsciously walking toward an uncertain future, ignoring the signs that are clear to only a few? What else might be hidden? What don't we know yet that could change everything we believe to be true about our world? And you, what do you think about this? Do you believe it's just a coincidence, or is there something much bigger behind all of this? If these signs are real, what else might be lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Leave your thoughts in the comments, share this with those who need to know this truth, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Activate the notifications to keep exploring the hidden mysteries before it's too late.